Hello everyone, and thank you for joining us for our information session about the Masters of Communication degree at Western Michigan University. By the end of these next 20 minutes, you'll have all the information you need about applying to, enrolling in, and completing your Masters of Communication degree at Western Michigan University. If you have any questions while we're going through the presentation, feel free to submit them using the chat box. We'll answer any unresolved questions at the end. But first, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Steve Way, and I am the Associate Director of Graduate Recruitment here at the university. Joining me today is Dr. Julie Apker, Graduate Director and Professor of Communications. I'll go ahead and let her introduce herself now.
Hello, and thank you for joining us. I'm excited you want to learn more about the Communication Master's degree. I'm Julie Apker, the Graduate Director, and I also teach graduate courses in the School of Communication. The Communication Master's degree consists of 10 courses or 30 credit hours. Some of these courses are offered in traditional face-to-face format, with all courses meeting at 6 o'clock or later, whereas other courses are in hybrid format, consisting of some face-to-face and some online. We have 25 students actively enrolled, and of that number, 2/3 are working professionals.
Thank you, Dr. Apker. We also thought it was important that you hear from a faculty member in the program who will be teaching some of your classes. So we were fortunate enough to shoot an interview with Dr. Leah O'Melian-Hodges, who is an Associate Professor of Communication. She's going to talk a little bit about some of the classes she teaches and what you can expect in the communication program.
So I'm Dr. Leah O'Melian-Hodges, and it is a pleasure to work in the School of Communication. I'm an associate professor here. And my teaching is in both the graduate and undergraduate levels. I really enjoy working with graduate students. I teach an Introduction to Communication and Research course, and also a really fun Applied Power and Leadership course. And as someone who worked full-time during my graduate degrees, I'm particularly sensitive to the unique challenges, and graduate school is time-consuming for anyone, but then when you have a full-time job, perhaps a family and other demands, it requires a lot of organization, and that's something that we would talk about in 6010, the Introduction to Research and Theory. So we actually take the time to consider, how can I be most successful? And with that, it fits everyone a little bit differently, but I share how I tend to organize my week and what I found that worked for me as a graduate student and as a full-time adult. I talk about now how I have a family, a commute, 2 young children, and how I'm still utilizing some of these same organizational skills to be successful today. But we'll actually take the time to look and say, when is a good time in the week to do your reading? And what does that look like? And how do we keep track of it so we know how much time to set aside? We also talk about keys for success in terms of engaging in discussion and completing the work. I try to be really mindful of students' schedules. So when we create a schedule and a syllabus, I talk about that as our contract, so that you know what is expected of you. I'm not going to change those expectations. If anything, I would allow more time, but never less time. So I want to be sensitive to those other demands in your life, and to recognize that you are a whole person. You're not just a student in 6010 and in your other graduate courses. There are so many reasons why students should choose Western, but I think chief among them is you're going to get so much attention. We, as a terminal master's program, you have all of the attention of faculty. You have a really strong cohort around you, so it ends up developing into lifelong relationships for a number of our students. But in this setting, which is unique because most graduate programs kind of couple the master's and the PhD programs, so then the master's students tend to not get as much attention until they transition into the doctoral degree, if they're inclined. But at Western, in the School of Communication, from your first day, you have the ability to, if you're interested, to learn more about teaching and leading class discussions. You have the ability to raise your hands and work with faculty on different research projects. You have the opportunity through our capstone to solve an applied communication issue. So if you want to do a thesis, you can do that. If you want to take another course, you could do a comprehensive exam. That the program is tailored to fit you and your needs and to help you to grow into the professional and personal identity that you're looking to do so.
We also wanted to cover the admissions criteria, what you need to do to apply to the program, what documents the application committee is going to look at. And so I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Apker, and she's going to talk a little bit about the admissions process. And so Dr. Apker, could you take it away?
Here's how to apply for your master's degree in the School of Communication. You can begin your application at any time at wmich.edu/apply. With your application to the graduate college at WMU, you will be required to submit your undergraduate transcripts, your resume, 3 recommendation letters, a writing sample, and a personal statement. A 3.0 GPA in your last 2 years of undergraduate work is required for full admission. You must have completed undergraduate work in communication, speech, or allied disciplines. If you have not completed undergraduate work in communication, you may still apply, but you may need to complete additional course requirements. Your professional references or recommendation letters should include at least one from an individual who can attest to your academic potential, like a professor or an academic advisor. It is preferable that your writing sample is an academic paper, but also consider other professional work. Your personal statement should be about 500 words. Some topics to include are information about why you're interested in the communication master's degree, such as your career goals or how your master's degree will meet some of your career objectives. Your plans for graduate study, so some of the courses you might like to take or faculty members that you'd like to work with. And what roles or experiences, such as employment, academic, or volunteer background, have you had that sparked your interest in communication graduate study? At the end of the program, you can choose from 3 capstone options: a comprehensive exam, a thesis, or a professional project. With the help of a supervising faculty member, you choose the capstone based on your program interests and career plans. Most of the students who are working professionals choose the professional project. This capstone requires students to develop an applied communication experience. Some of our examples include training workshops, recruiting and onboarding communication, websites, public relations campaigns, and course development. Students often use the professional project in their current jobs, and sometimes they use it as a portfolio piece for future employment.
Thank you, Dr. Apker, and we're going to conclude by showing you an interview that we conducted with a current student in the program and one of our recent graduates. And so they're going to talk about some of their experiences in the program, some of the growth that they were able to develop. And after that, we will be happy to take your questions.
Yes, so there definitely has been growth. And you know, there was a lot of uncertainty coming into my program just because, as I mentioned, I don't come from a research background. And so even in the first semester of me starting here, I kind of gave myself an internal pep talk to remind myself that I can do this and that I am prepared for this and that I am equipped to handle this, and that, you know, if there ever was a moment where I needed help, I knew that I could reach out to those that were around me. So in comparison to where I started, it's been a blur. My program has been incredible. It seems like it's flying by. It has flown by. I'm in a position now where I feel like I can handle a lot more. That uncertainty has begun to fade, and I'm grateful for that. So it feels incredible to be where I am now, to be able to combine some of the things that I learned in undergrad with the things that I've learned here. I just feel like I'm in a much better position as a young professional to go out into the world and do some of the things that I really want to do. So that's invaluable to me.
So I graduated in late 2013, and I didn't start again until, about 2016, 2017. So I had some time to work professionally, and in those years I really learned a lot about myself, and I also learned a lot about, I really desire more education. I want to be challenged, but also professionally, I reached kind of my wall. I was doing a lot of work, and I really enjoyed the communication work that I was doing, but to kind of get into that upper echelon, you had to have a master's to be considered. So I just thought, okay, I really want to do this, and let's see how it goes. And my first class was 6010, Intro to Comm Theory and everything like that. So I was just like, okay, let's see how this goes. I'm going to take one class and just kind of figure it out. And it was a very nerve-wracking experience leading up to it. But the minute I got back into a classroom with Dr. Amelia Hodges, it was smooth sailing. It was amazing. Turning in my first assignment was kind of a panic attack because it had been so long. The use of e-learning wasn't huge when I was an undergrad. So just kind of getting back into the tech side of things, getting back into the swing of having deadlines and homework was an interesting challenge because it was very different. I used to get out of work and just kind of play video games or sit around, do nothing, and then to have things to do on top of that, it was kind of a willpower thing. So there's nothing to be afraid of for it as long as you can just be focused. And my big thing was, this is what I want to do when I grow up. This is 100% going to my goals. So working toward that was no problem. I feel without shadow of a doubt that this program changed my life. Who I am, who I want to be, where I was going, everything about this program pushed me to new heights that I would not have been able to push myself to do. Full-time school, full-time work, it's a very liberating feeling to know, and it's empowering to know that you can do this, you can learn all of these things. There is an infinite value to education, but this program too, it's not learning for learning's sake. It's not like I take my papers and hang them up on the fridge, and that's all that happens. This is something to where I refer to my papers regularly in my job. I still will look at them and say, hey, how did I write this? What was the feedback on this? Paying it forward, I have worked with a lot of students on things like APA. I've worked with a lot of faculty staff on technological tools that we used in the program. So it's one of those things to where I can't imagine my professional life without this program.